Member from Parkdale High Park.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Government and Consumer Services. Joshua Ferguson is a queer, non-binary person who has applied to change the sex designation on their birth certificate. Currently in Ontario, one cannot amend their birth registration of birth to anything other than male or female categories. Ontarians should have the right to have their birth certificates accurately reflect the correct sex designation. Will the minister issue an amended birth certificate to Joshua and others like them that correctly reflect their sex designation?
Thank you. Minister of Government and Consumer Services.
Thank you, Speaker. And I want to thank the member from Parkdale High Park for this very important question, because I have been following Joshua's story with great interest. Joshua presented at a Service Ontario office recently. And I want to say off the top, of course, that our government values acceptance, respect and diversity, and we're very committed to ensuring that all Ontarians are treated ethically, equitably, fairly, including the trans and non-binary community. It's important to note, of course, that Ontario has already changed the way it displays information about a person's sex on health cards and driver's license, making it easier for people to have documents that align with their gender identity. We've also recently introduced a policy to help the trans and non-binary community to live according to their gender identity. There's new rules, and I'll talk more in the supplementary about what we're going to do on the birth certificate side.
Thank you. Supplementary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Back to the minister. It's difficult to get a health card or a driver's license if you can't get a birth certificate. Ontario passed Toby's Law in 2012, adding gender identity and gender expression to the Human Rights Code. Applying for a birth certificate with non-binary designation is entirely legal under Toby's Law. But sadly, Joshua may not be afforded rights. This should not be an issue. Trans and non-binary rights are human rights. Why is the government breaking its own law?
Minister.
Again, I want to thank the member for the question. And similar to the driver's license and health card examples I mentioned, I'm very pleased to report to the legislature that the Ministry of Government and Consumer Services is developing a gender-neutral option for Ontario birth certificates. We know a birth certificate is a foundation for many forms of identification, and we need to ensure we get that right. We need to work with the federal government and other ministries, of course, on this. There was a recent consultation held with the trans and non-binary community on the development of an OPS-wide policy, and that is going to help inform our work on this birth certificate issue. I attended that session. Speaker, I was deeply moved from the conversations I had with a number of attendees. It's my hope that we will target further consultations with the key partners I mentioned and get moving on this summer. Thank you.